Thursday, the 3rd of February, 1944. Dear Kitty, invasion fever in the country is mounting daily. If you were here, on the one hand, you would probably feel the effect of all these preparations just as I do, and on the other, you would laugh at us for making such a fuss. Who knows, perhaps for nothing. All the newspapers are full of the invasion and are driving people mad by saying that in the event of the English landing in Holland, the Germans will do all they can to defend the country. If necessary, they will resort to flooding. With this, maps have been published on which the parts of Holland that will be underwater are marked. As this applies to large parts of Amsterdam, the first question was, what shall we do if the water in the streets rises to 1 meter? The answers given by different people vary considerably. So if you guys remember in the map that I showed you of Holland, it is very near the water. There's a channel going through where she lives. So the Germans are talking about flooding the town to even prevent the English from liberating it. As walking or cycling is out of the question, we shall have to wade through the stagnant water. Of course not. One will have to try and swim. We shall all put on our bathing suits and caps and swim underwater as much as possible. Then no one will see that we are Jews. Oh, what nonsense. I'd like to see the ladies swimming if the rats start biting their legs. That was naturally a man, just to see who screams the loudest. We shan't be able to get out of the house anyway. The warehouse will definitely collapse if there's a flood. It is so wobbly already. Listen, folks, all joking apart, we should try and get a boat. Why bother? I know something much better. We each get a hold of a wooden packing case from the attic and row with the soup ladle. I shall walk on stilts. I used to be an expert at it in my youth. Hank Van Satin won't need to. He's sure to take his wife on his back. Then she'll be on stilts. This gives you a rough idea, doesn't it, Kit? This chatter is all very amusing, but the truth may be otherwise. A second question about the invasion was bound to arise. What do we do if the Germans evacuate Amsterdam? Leave the city too, and disguise ourselves as best we can. Don't go. Whatever happens, stay put. The only thing to do is remain here. The Germans are quite capable of driving the whole population right into Germany, where they will all die. Yes, naturally we'll stay here, since this is the safest place. We'll try and fetch Kufis and his family over here to come live with us. We'll try to get hold of a sack of wood wool, then we can sleep on the floor. Let's ask Meep and Kufis to start bringing blankets here. We'll order some extra corn in addition to our 60 pounds. Let's get Hank to try and obtain more peas and beans. We have about 60 pounds of beans and 10 pounds of peas in the house at present. Don't forget that we have 50 tins of vegetables. Mommy, just count up how much we've got of other food, will you? 10 tins of fish, 40 tins of milk, 10 kilos of milk powder, 3 bottles of salad oil, 4 preserving jars of butter, 4 ditto of meat, 2 wicker-covered bottles of strawberries, 2 bottles of raspberries, 20 bottles of tomatoes, 10 pounds of rolled oats, 8 pounds of rice, and that's all. Our stock's not too bad, but if you think that we may be having visitors, as well as and drawing from reserves each week, then it seems more than it actually is. We have sufficient coal and firewood in the house, also candles. Let's all make little money bags, which could easily be hidden in our clothing, in case we want to take money with us. We'll make lists of the most important things to take, should we have to run for it, and pack rucksacks now in readiness. If it gets too far, we'll put 2 people on watch, one in the front and one in the back loft. I say, what's the use of collecting such stocks of food if we haven't any water, gas, or electricity? Then we must cook on the stove, filter and boil our water. We'll clean out some large wicker bottles and store water in them. I hear nothing but this sort of talk the whole day long. Invasion and nothing but invasion. Arguments about suffering from hunger, dying, bombs, fire extinguishers, sleeping bags, Jewish vouchers, poisonous gases, etc., etc. None of this is exactly cheering. The gentlemen in the secret annex give pretty straightforward warnings. An example is the following conversation with Hank. Secret annex. We are afraid that if the Germans withdraw, they will take the whole population with them. Hank. That is impossible. They haven't the trains at their disposal. Essay. Trains? Do you think they'll put civilians in carriages? Out of the question. They could use Shanksmare. And remember, that was a term that she used earlier on in the book about just using your legs, meaning they can just walk. H. I don't believe a word of it. You look back at the black side of everything. What would be their object in driving all the civilians along with them? S.A. That's secret annex. Don't you know that Goebbels said, if we have to withdraw, we shall slam the doors of all the occupied countries behind us? H, which is Hank. They have said so much already. Secret annex. Do you think the Germans are above doing such a thing or too humane? What they think is this. If we have to go down, then everyone in our clutches will go with us. Hank. Tell that to the Marines. I just don't believe it. Secret annex. It's always the same song. No one will see danger approaching until it's actually on top of him. Hank. But you know nothing definite. You just simply suppose. Secret annex. We have all been through it ourselves. First in Germany, then here. And what's going on in Russia? Hank. You mustn't include the Jews. I don't think anyone knows what is going on in Russia. The English and the Russian are sure to exaggerate things for propaganda purposes, just like the Germans. S.A. Secret annex. Out of the question. The English have always told the truth over the wireless, and suppose they do exaggerate the news. The facts are bad enough anyway, because you can't deny that many millions of peace-loving people were just simply murdered or gassed in Poland or Russia. I will spare you further examples of these conversations. I must keep myself very quiet and don't take any notice of all the fuss and excitement. I have now reached the stage that I don't care much whether I live or die. The world will still keep on turning without me. What is going to happen will happen. And anyway, it's no good trying to resist. I trust to luck and do nothing but work, hoping that will all end well. Yours, Anne. So in case that was confusing, they're just going over scenarios if Germany does have to surrender to the English. They may just leave Amsterdam or leave the Netherlands, but take everybody with them. So the people in the secret annex are kind of toying with the idea, do we stay? Do we leave? Do we take backpacks with us? Or can we just bring Hank and Meep and Mr. Kufwis and Mr. Crawler and their families to live with them? But again, they're just conjecturing. But this last paragraph is really telling. I have now reached the stage that I don't care much whether I live or die. The world will still keep on turning without me. What is going to happen will happen. Anyway, it's no good trying to resist. Well, we know the world does go on without her, but she had made a big impact on the world through her diary. So now we've caught up to 150, and everybody, hopefully Wednesday or Thursday, will be on page 151. See you there.